Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CyberX video breakdown. In today's video, we're going to be going over some groundbreaking announcements from financial institutions and organizations that run infrastructure on the XRP ledger that are now launching as validators on the Canton network. Taking a look at that, we're also going to be diving into Canton's price action, looking at updated dark pools and levels that we've been paying attention to now for months on end. And then we're also going to be listening to some video snippets from this Defiant podcast that has Nadine Shakar from the DTCC talking about the ongoing developments within the DTCC and their tokenization environment. With that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video breakdown. If you do, do me that favor, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the platform. For those of you all who have been paying attention to information that we've been putting out to the general public via our institutional software here at CyberX, creating that level playing field for the average retail investor to save them from buying into hype and rallies and allowing them to really see where discounted opportunities exist in the market well in advance. Here's a post back from June 30th, 2026, so well over a month ago, where I said, levels where I will be buying more Canton at if we see price continue to sell off. So I really, truly hope that you all have been paying attention to the publicly available information that we've been posting to you all from within inside our private community, giving you guys some accurate levels on the likes of Canton, XRP, most recently Solana, showing you guys that the institutional software that the CyberX team has created over the past 5 years is the most accurate software that retail traders have access to. And you can see here, we were paying very close attention to this 11,021 cent psychological level, which now, as of time of recording today's video breakdown, has been accurately hit to the absolute T of a degree. So before we jump into the remaining portions of today's video breakdown, taking a look at Canton's price now that we're here, you can see that we have traded from the 13,916 dark pool all the way straight down on the higher time frame. We'll jump up a little bit more to maybe the 4 hour, a little bit shaky still. We'll go to the 8 hour time frame. So we traded from the 13,916 dark pool all the way down into the 11,021 cent dark pool. And that 13,916 dark pool is where we were at back in June when we had posted that out to you all, calling out this level well in advance. So now that we're here, our dollar cost average levels and some buy limits have been hit on Canton, but where could price go next? Personally, I don't think the pain is over. I think that a lot of people were not anticipating that Canton was going to pull back this low. We were called crazy for it. We were warning people that it is a possibility, and now we are here. So if we do see price break below with the bearish close underneath of the 11,021 cent psychological level dark pool, the next area on our radar for buy limits that we have set on Canton is at the dark pool at the 9453. Underneath of the 9453, we have the 05800, which would be worst case scenario at time of recording. And then slightly underneath of that, I don't think that prices are going to go this low. It's possible, but we also have dark pools at the 02602 and as low as the 000. That's right, 3 zeros, 1 cent psychological level. Now, personally, I don't think price is going to go down to these lower level dark pools. I think buyers will step in before that. But nonetheless, you guys now have some targets to be mindful of to the downside. You can now see in real time how accurate these levels are. And they did play out, but they took a couple of days, right? We're now at August 4th when we posted that clip out to you guys back on, I think it was June 30th. So over 30 days old. So make sure that you all are just setting alerts and alarms. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to buy Canton at these levels, but just so that way you can see how accurate the software is, giving you all these levels in advance. We now know where institutional buyers could step back in and defend at these lower level dark pools if sell pressure continues on Canton coin. Of course, to the upside, nothing has changed. We still have some levels to be mindful of that we need to see buyers reclaim if we want to get excited on any higher Canton price action, where I will, when the market starts to turn around and buyers start to step back in and push prices higher, look to sell some of my Canton bags to take out some positions from these lower level prices and put in some capital back in at a discount are these higher level sell dark pools coming in between 19 and 29 cents. with the highest dark pool right now that I don't have on my screen coming in at about 34 cents for Canton, but buyers have a lot of work to do before we get there. So for now, attention is to the downside. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed those updates. Moving on, we had this post from Xrpl, August 3rd, 2026. So just yesterday, Xrpl is now live as a validator on the Canton network. Now, we have been calling this out for some time, stating that there are, very interesting connections with Ripple utilizing or building out infrastructure, building out with companies that have infrastructure built on the Canton network. And now we're seeing this announcement, August 3rd, 2026. The move puts its infrastructure within direct reach of banks, custodians, and asset managers already operating on Canton alongside its existing infrastructure that is built on XRP ledger technology. So this is kind of like a huge slap in the face for the XRP army that is against the Canton network, thinking that it's a competitor. Here you have a financial institution. Here, we'll come over here to Axiology. For those of you guys who don't know, it says Axiology is a financial institution that operates a distributed ledger technology trading and settlement system, a private permission blockchain infrastructure built using the open source code of the XRP ledger. And they are a regulated institution. If you come down here, here's their regulatory compliance features. It says, as a financial institution that encompasses the functions of central securities depository and multilateral trading systems, it's subject to European Union's financial markets regulation. Axiology's DLT TSS infrastructure operates under the requirements of DLT pilot regulation, central securities depository, so on and so forth. So it is a regulated entity here, and it's fully built on the XRP ledger. It says right here, Axiology benefits from the robustness and reliability of the XRP ledger while operating independently from Ripple and the public XRP ledger. This ensures that the platform remains self-sufficient while benefiting from the efficiency and security of XRP ledger's tech. The infrastructure leverages the open source code of the XRP ledger as its core, integrating the following key advantages into Axiology's private permission network. And even over here on Ripple's platform, they put this video out 9 months ago, how Axiology is rebuilding capital markets on the XRP ledger. This is the CEO of Axiology explaining how all this works. I'm not going to play this video breakdown because it's got some background music. I don't want to get a strike and have it taken down, but we will come over here and we will read this announcement from the beginning of July. Axiology goes live as a validator now on Canton, opening its infrastructure to the European institutional network. And this just goes hand in hand with the argument that we've seen in recent times from certain retail investors stating that, there might be the likes of Canton taking over market share versus XRP Ledger, so on and so forth, always creating this competition when in reality, we're going to operate in a multi-chain ecosystem where each of these networks is going to need to be interoperable with the other. And these financial institutions are probably going to run infrastructure on multiple different blockchains and layer ones. And it says here, the move makes Axiology directly reachable to the banks, custodians, and asset managers already operating on Canton alongside its existing XRPL-based infrastructure. So this is literally a slap in the face to people that have created this nonsensical, competition between XRP and Canton. Axiology is now operating as a live validator on Canton, the privacy-enabled blockchain network used by a significant share of the world's regulated financial institutions for tokenization, settlement, and asset servicing. Axiology, the financial tech company specializing in distributed ledger tech infrastructure for capital markets, runs its core platform on a private permission network built using the open source code of the XRP ledger. The Canton deployment does not change that. It is an additional rail. Axiology now exposes its services on Canton as well, with a choice of venue available to issuers and institutional counterparts based on where they already operate. The decision reflects where European institutional activity is actually concentrated. Major banks, custodians, and asset managers across Europe have built or are building their tokenization and settlement workflows on Canton, drawn by its privacy model and its position as the network underpinning a growing share of regulated digital asset infrastructure. By running a validator and exposing its services natively, Axiology removes a meaningful integration cost for those institutions. A counterparty on Canton can now reach a regulated European venue for issuance and settlement without leaving its existing network. Then down here it says, Marius, I'm probably going to butcher this dude's name, the CEO of Axiology said most of the institutional volume and tokenization today sits on a smaller number of networks, and Canton is one of them. And this is coming from a gentleman who decided to build his technology on the XRP ledger. He's verifying Canton right here in this sentence. Being a live validator now allows us to connect more easily with major European institutions, which is important for making the EU capital market more interconnected. The CTO of Axiology said, running a validator on Canton means our stack now speaks to two of the rails that matter in regulated finance. So he's confirming both the XRPL and Canton, which again, I find is a very interesting sentence and a slap in the face to all the people that have created nonsensical competition between the two chains. The two networks sit alongside each other, and the choice of where a transaction settles is a deployment decision, not a re-architecture. So this was really great to see and a great read, considering that XRP is one of my biggest holdings. I've been an XRP content creator since like 2016. And now, obviously, of course, having started to create Canton content since 2023, this is just really great to see the likes of these two giants sitting, and it says right here, alongside each other. As we continue, Franklin Templeton Digital Assets put this out just yesterday. Financial institutions shouldn't just use blockchains, they should help run them. TradFi and DeFi are becoming one. Canton Network is one of the players accelerating that convergence through its chain purpose built for institutional finance. So we're deepening our commitment to operating a blockchain infrastructure and becoming a super validator on Canton, which is a huge announcement. Now, coming over here, shout out to the Defiant for this. This is Nadine Chakar from the DTCC. I have 3 video clips to play because there's a lot of hype in regards to the upcoming go live date in October, where the DTCC's tokenization efforts are set to go live on Canton Network in October. But Nadine Chakar here actually highlights on what she thinks is going to happen in the coming months ahead. And she really, in my personal opinion, after listening, humbles the listener that it's not going to be as hypey as everybody thinks. Even though it is a big major milestone, there's still a lot of work to do. Institutions are still skeptical, and they're probably not going to all flood in October. What's going to be most interesting is the coming months after that. But still, nonetheless, this is a huge event. And so let's just take a second and listen to what Nadine here says in the 3 video clips that I have to play. Again, shout out to the Defiant for this podcast.
Our websites, but at a very high level, it authorized us to tokenize all the underlying holdings of the Russell 1000, so 1,000 equities in the United States. It allows us to tokenize ETFs linked to major indices. It allows us to tokenize treasuries, and it allows us to tokenize certain fixed income instruments. So our ambition is to make that universe available to our clients as we progress towards October. But the reason we did July before doing One Big Bang in October, you're absolutely right. It wasn't just to give the industry a taste. And I think from what I'm seeing on social media and the direct feedback from getting from our clients, they liked what they saw. So that's good. We're very proud of that. But Camilla, what was really important too is to make sure that the markets are ready for what it will take to trade in digital. You're sort of now starting to inch into an always-on economy, and your middle, your back office, your risk models, your trading functions. There's a lot of change that needs to happen within a client's front, middle, and back office. They need to be ready for that. They also have decisions to make. What are their use cases? What is the best chain that they can execute these use cases on? What wallet provider should they choose? How do they integrate all that into? So that's why we did what we did. So we wanted everybody in the marketplace to really be able to think through that. And as you know, back and I apologize, but my timeframes these days are a little bit confused, but early spring, we announced the setup of working groups within our digital groups. And that was done on purpose because we built a platform based on, our feedback, our experience, and what we do. But now to take it to the next level and make sure it is usable for everybody, we need to solicit that client feedback, which is what we're doing in these client groups. And the last thing I'll say, which is really, really important, is what we did in July, which we'll replicate on October and forever, I hope from there, is because I've seen a lot of that chatter online. This is not just for the big institutions. We had big institutions, we had small institutions, we had big tech firms, we had small tech firms, we had other technology firms in there. So DTCC is committed to ensuring that our platforms are open. Now, it's not open season, but it's open within certain guidelines. And as long as people can come in and participate and add value to that ecosystem, they're welcomed. And that's what we set out to prove in July, so we could de-risk October.
Right. So they set that out in July so that they could de-risk in October. Huge statement from Nadine Chakar. Next one, she goes on to say and talk about, from her perspective, how big this is actually going to be in October. So take a second here and listen. So This is coming from, obviously, of course, the likes of a representative from the DTCC, not some speculative investor on Twitter telling you all that in October we're going to see some massive price appreciation and bull run rally and all this like crazy hype that's been going on. No, this is direct words from a representative from the DTCC. So just take into consideration what she says. And this just really, in my personal opinion, sets things into perspective and brings you back to kind of reality as to what to look at, to pay attention to in the coming months/years ahead.
All market participants, which is pretty cool.
When the October launch happens, how many of market participants, how much volume do you expect to see in kind of those first days and weeks?
Your guess is as good as mine, to be honest with you. But what we are doing is ensuring that the platforms are scalable, they're robust, they're resilient. And to be honest with you, my experience based on what we saw in July, I don't think that there'll be a line of institutions like clamoring to get in. I think it would be, again, for all the reasons I stated about the attributes of the US markets, people are interested, firms want to move forward. But this is where you talk about cautious and responsible innovation, and that's what we'll see. So we'll see, and if you go back to history, every new implementation of technology is occurred like that. It starts slowly, it simmers, and eventually takes off. And we are, if on day one, we're lucky enough that we've got hundreds of people going, let me in, we'll do that. But our expectation is it will be slow and measured, which is probably the right approach, because this is not just an act of tokenizing something. The integration into your existing infrastructure, we don't expect everything to be tokenized on day one, right? So for a long period of time, we will have traditional assets, you'll have digital assets. We at DTCC need to treat them with the same level of care. And then within our clients' infrastructure, they also need to be integrated to the extent that they can. So this is not an easy nor a light lift, and we will work with our clients to get them there.
So I like that perspective because even though she doesn't deny that there could be a massive event that happens, and it's going to be a massive event, but I mean, in terms of price appreciation, like the retail, enthusiast on the internet makes it out to be like there's going to be some big freaking massive pump of Canton's price action in October because of this event. I like that she says it could happen. If there's hundreds of clients that come tunneling in, we'll be ready for that, which is good. It's optimistic, but that wasn't her perspective. Her perspective was that it's going to be slow, it's going to be measured, it's going to be gradual, and then sudden, right? So I'm personally not expecting some big bang in October. I'm expecting heading into 2027, rolling into 2028 is when we're going to really truly see fireworks kick off. That's my personal opinion. I actually hope I'm wrong, and I hope that we see something insanely crazy in terms of price discovery and price appreciation, new all-time highs in October. I would love that because I hold a big fat bag of Canton. But I'm here to bring you guys a reality check when one is due. And from what I've seen on the internet, a lot of people are expecting huge price appreciation. So don't be let down if that doesn't happen, because here you hear directly from the DTCC humbling you and saying, look, it might not be that way. It might be slow, methodical. And even though this is a big step, institutions might not come flooding in all at once in October, right? So just something to take into consideration, a little bit of a humbling words from the DTCC representative herself. Last but not least, she goes on to talk about yes, right now it's Canton in October. It is not Stellar in October. Stellar does not come until 2027, which I feel like social media has already confirmed, and most people, good content creators out there, have already confirmed that have been covering this topic. But what I really like is that she continues to open up the door to work with multiple different layer ones after Stellar and Canton. So not just closing the door to Stellar and Canton, but leaving the door open for other layer ones that their clients might be interested in. So take a second here and listen to this last little video clip.
It adds value to their environments.
That's so important that we're seeing these types of developments that go beyond just the press release, and it's because people are seeing actual benefit from tokenizing.
Yes,
and
we are
from
so done
yeah.
with innovation by press release, and this is why we were so excited about Wednesday. I appreciate it was a limited in trades. There were real trades, real production trades, but that showed the entire market like, okay, it's time. It's time to move forward. It's time to get serious about this in a true production manner. And we're very optimistic that just from the initial feedback, that there'll be a fair amount of demand as we move forward. And we need to make sure that we could do this in a way that doesn't disrupt the markets, and we're working with all our partners to ensure that we do that.
So you ran these trades through the Besu and Canton networks, and these are both permissioned chains. Wondering what your view is going forward. I mean, first, why choose permissioned networks, and whether more open blockchains are in consideration to be a part of this platform?
I don't think we deliberately set out to just pick private chains. Besu is a DTCC network. It's been installed for ages, and Canton was really our first partner. I would argue, and I know if you ask the team at Canton, they'll tell you it's a public chain, and anybody that wants access to Canton can. But it started with Canton because they were our first partner that we've worked with. And you've seen from our announcements, we are very committed to a multi-chain approach. We've made Stellar public. There'll be more that we will come forward with in the weeks and months that we go forward. So at the end of the day, Camilla, it is all about choice. It is a client's choice and decision. With Canton, they were our first partners because our clients wanted to work with Canton, and we think their approach to privacy is something that is appealing to a lot of financial institutions and definitely appealing to DTCC. So it wasn't a deliberate strategy, but I think some will argue with you, and me included, that Canton is not private, but it's public wrapped with privacy, which is really, but look at Stellar. Stellar will be public, and we'll jump on that, and we'll jump on a couple others. But everything that we do is got to be grained in a client demand and use cases where there's enough liquidity so we can move forward with those.
Will Stellar be a part of the October launch?
No, we've said it will happen in 2027.
Got it. And then just to be clear on Canton, I know it is a public chain. So, transactions are public, and you can transact, like anyone can transact on the Canton chain, but validators are permissioned. So,
Right. So you all heard it there. We'll stop the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's breakdown. If you did, do us that favor, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the platform. You guys have both upside and downside targets, levels to be mindful of. Hopefully you all have been tracking these updates with us. We enjoy giving them to you all. If you all want the most recent and accurate updates across multiple different venues, currency pairs, asset classes, you all can always head over to cyberxtrading.com. You can tap in with us inside the private CyberX Discord. You guys can access the institutional dark pools and deltas across multiple different cryptocurrencies, HBAR, Bitcoin, XLM, XDC, Quant, the list goes on. We'd love to have you inside the private community. Many blessings to you guys and gals. Be cognizant, be aware out there. I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.